Oh, all sorted. Let's start lying down. We'll take it as it comes. Very mindful at the moment. It's not just COVID or recovery from COVID. It's because none of us have quite the immunity that we had, or quite the resilience that we used to have. So, but also I think mental health, you know, if you're a person who likes to exercise, then mental health and the feeling of being able to do your usual thing is very, very important. It's every bit as important as physical health. So I do want you to be able to have a practice that feels natural to you. And I know that you like quite vigorous. So we're not going to go as vigorous as you would normally go, but we are going to give you a taste of that a little bit. So for the purposes of the video, if anybody wants to work a little harder, you know your variations to increase heat. But to be honest, last night we really went for it, so you probably don't want that today. Anyway, let's just stay lying down for a few moments. It's much warmer, at least down in the southwest. It's much warmer today than it has been, and the storms are coming in. So we'll just rest. Let your body settle into the ground. I'm keeping my knees bent with the feet on the floor. It helps me stay more lively at the beginning of the class, but you can stretch out your legs if you want to. If it's comfortable, hands can rest on the belly and the lower abdomen. And let's move towards diaphragmatic breathing first. So just some comfortable, natural breaths. Start to relax the body downwards on each out breath. So really let go. Maybe breathe out through the mouth if you can. And just feel that long sigh, the slight vocalization at the back of the throat. Take a deep breath in and expand. Drink in that lovely deep breath. Exhale through the mouth. Feel how your back softens into the ground when you exhale. Let's do that again. One more deep, deep breath, as expansive as you can make it. Pull a little welly into that in-breath and then exhale long and slow. Let it all go. And start to move towards standard diaphragmatic breaths. You can breathe through the nose if you are able to. If you're not able to, don't worry about it. Use your hands, if they're resting on your front, use your hands to maybe track the movement of the breath. Not everybody can feel the movement externally as they breathe, but if you can, then it can be useful to feel the rise and the fall of the breath. Some people like to have a hand on the chest, a hand on the belly. This I have never liked. I always find it kind of unhelpful, but hands lower down around the rib cage, the belly, it's fine. Allow there to be a little effort in the breath. Try not to sit back and think about it. Be in that breath, be in that sensation, the feeling of the muscles working as you assist the movement in the cavity in the rib cage, creating space for the diaphragm to flip downwards like an upside down umbrella. See if you can slow the out breath down so it sort of feels a bit longer than the in breath. Lovely. Let's start to count the breaths. So as you breathe in, try for a count of 6. It's your count, so how fast or slow it is entirely up to you. And then out breath for 8 if you can. So in breath 6, out breath 8. If you don't like those numbers, pick different numbers, but make the out breath longer than the in breath. Two more breaths like this. If you're breathing through the nose, try to draw the breath through the back of the throat so you can hear in your own head the sound of that breath moving, as long as it doesn't give you a sore throat. That's the Ujjayi breath. If you can find that sound, that sensation, and slight constriction at the back of the throat. And if you can find your Ujjayi breath, you can leave it switched on if you want to, or you can release it if it's not nice for you. When you finished your final out breath in this deeper pattern, just let the breath settle back to its normal pattern. And just notice how the natural breath might have changed or how you're feeling in yourself. Become aware of any shifts as a result of breathing this way. Okay, so let's just go lightly. Let's keep the hands somewhere around the body. You can take them off the body, or if they're warm, you can leave them on there, it's fine. Stretch out the right leg. Stretch it away along the floor if you can. Really point the toes up, heel away. And just keeping the breath flowing naturally, start to point the toe away, heel presses in towards the calf. And just do that a few times, but do it fairly intentionally. These little movements seem like nothing, but if you do it with a little bit of actual tension in the whole of the leg and slow movements and quite strong movements, they're surprisingly gratifying. So as you point your toe away, actually lengthen through the front of the whole leg from the hip joint all the way down. And as you press the heel away, properly push it deeply away, point the toes back. Obviously, this kind of thing, if you're not feeling great, can start to sort of feel like way too much effort. So if you want to keep it floppier, feel free, obviously. Start to relax that leg a little bit and let the foot be heavy and just do some ankle circles. You can put the leg up a little bit off the floor if you want to for that. And I'm going middle with the ankle circles. They're not soft, fast and floppy, but they're not slow and intense. They're just middle round ankle circles. Lovely. Really good. So let's take that right ankle over the left knee for figure of four. We're just going to do standard figure of four today. So pull in your left leg, weave your hands behind the shin or around the shin, or behind the thigh, and gently squeeze in. If you want a rock from side to side or a little pulse, just to get more action into the right, the back of the right hip and the glute. Feel free, find the stretch. And if you'd like to, you can, after you've had this stretch for a bit, you can lengthen up that left leg and have a little bit of a hamstring stretch there as well. So keep your hands woven behind the thigh if you can. Point the toes back, lengthen the heel up, and just feel that real sense of length through the left leg. It's been a while since we've done these just in a very straightforward way. Don't forget to breathe all the way through. Nice. When you're ready, release the left leg to the ground. Take the right leg also down. So right knee bent, foot on the floor, lengthen out the left leg, and do the same thing on the left side. So stretch that left leg away quite firmly. Feel the length from the hip joint all the way down to the tips of the toes, and just start to flex and extend fairly intensely your left foot. So the ankle is getting quite a lot of action here. This is the natural movement of the ankle, but also when you flex and extend, it affects all of the muscles in your leg. So it's never, nothing happens in isolation in the body. There's always a chain. Okay. When you've had enough of those, have the sort of medium ankle circles, that feeling of just rolling the leg around. A lot more activity in the lower leg when you do ankle circles, and you can hover the leg a little bit if it helps you get good range of movement. Nice, okay. And then when you're ready, cross left ankle over right thigh and scoop up your right leg. Squeeze it in, get that good squeeze. You can have your rock or a pulse, just find that sensation at the back of your left hip or glute. Sometimes you can, if you want to open the hip, you can gently press the left knee, not the lifted knee, the knee that's out to the side, and press it away. And it's quite a nice sensation, but I do want you to focus more on glutes at this stage. Nice. And when you're ready, you can release. Put both feet, lengthen both feet away. Sorry, lengthen both of the feet away. And let's take the arms up and overhead. Point the toes up, spread the fingers wide, stretch the whole of the front of the body, really lengthen it out. Feel that kind of release of all those muscles. Lengthen. Deep breaths. Lovely. And then you can sort of point the toes a little bit, maybe make fists with the hands and roll some wrist circles with those fists that you've made. Roll in both directions, just get a little bit of activity going across the whole of the body, this big reaching feeling. Really nice. And let's have a banana stretch. Right ankle over left, right wrist in left hand, and we're shuffling over to the left. Remember to keep space on both sides, no corners in a banana. Lengthen out the side of the body. So hopefully the body is starting to feel like it's just opening up. You don't need to feel energized necessarily, but nice feeling of lengthening through, especially in a morning. It can really feel good to get some of those tissues and muscles lengthening through. And when you're ready, come to center, switch sides, shuffle it over. It feels nice. Keep breathing. Enjoy it. Enjoy the stretch. When you're ready, let's wiggle back to center of literally. Oh yeah. So I just want to do a little wrist and shoulder arm stretch while we're lying here, because it's pretty chill lying here. So weave your fingers together like basket weave, and then roll the palms outwards and just press those palms up towards the ceiling. And you'll feel your shoulders lift a little bit away from the floor, and you just keep your head down. You don't need to go any further than that. Just stretch out the fingers, stretch out the palms, shoulders getting a stretch as well. Lovely. Release the arms, take them out wide, bend the knees, have the feet reasonably close to the body, knees hip distance apart. Let's just lower the knees over to the right. Allow your whole body to roll if it wants to, but keep both shoulders on the ground. So adjust your legs in order to keep your shoulders down. And turn your head to the left if your neck feels all right with it. Just breathe here. If you're wanting to keep heat in the body, just start to draw the navel back towards the spine very lightly. Don't go too intensely. But if you're just wanting to have a really nice stretch out, I would just leave it. There's going to be opportunities to work a little bit later in more useful positions. Breathe into the diaphragm if you're keeping it soft. And on your next exhale, lift the knees back to center and then inhale. And then exhale to lower the knees over to the left, turn the head to the right. Try and savor all these movements and try not to pull off the floor. It's a funny thing that sometimes happens, especially if you're wanting to move. There's a sense of sort of pulling off the floor, and actually you get more out of these if you let go and allow the floor to hold you, because then you can just focus in on the muscles you want to use. So we're trying to keep the chest open here, the shoulders are drawing back and down, and if you want to work a muscle, then it's your pelvic floor and it's your abdomen. So try not to pull the thighs up or anything like that. Nice. On an inhale, let's bring the knees back to center. We're going to do some bridge, but normal bridge. It's actually been quite a while since we've done bridge. Back bends are energizing. So if you start to feel tired, I mean, there is a video, so you don't have to hammer it. We're going to start with dynamic bridge. We're doing this for the back bending, not the strength as we normally do it. So let's have the knees lined up with the hip joints, feet lined up with the knees. Keep the knees stable. And if you struggle with keeping those knees from flopping around outwards or inwards, then put a block between them and squeeze that block. I don't like to do it that way. I'd rather do it myself with my own discipline. Hands are down by the sides, palms are down. And if you want to tuck the arms a little bit under the body, you can. Not all the way under, just a little bit under so the chest is lifted. As you inhale, press into the feet and roll the spine up. The knees will pull forward, that's fine. And you can adjust your position as you need to in order to make this feel okay. You can also put a flat blanket under your head if you need to. And then on your exhale, roll down. So it's just dynamic bridge, up and down with the breath, inhaling to lift, exhaling to lower, not the other way around, which is more the strength variation. We want the ripple of the spine as a priority here. So as I say, if it feels a bit hard on your neck, if you get a blanket that is not too bouncy and fold it, so it's about a maximum of 1 inch thick, but for some people it's less than that, you can pop that either behind your shoulders so the head just tips back off it, or you can put it under the head, and that can really help with any compression that you start to feel at the back of the neck. Anytime you need a break as we roll through, it's knees to chest for a rock and roll or something of that variety. So keep rolling. If you like to keep moving, keep moving. Remember, your yin variation is to take the legs wider, point the toes outwards, so the knees are still lined up with the toes. And that's going to be a more flexy, softer version. If you're feeling like you'd like to hold, lift your hips. We're going to do 3 holds today. So you have time, and we'll just hold for 3 breaths. So you've had 1 in the time we've been here. Pressing into the backs of the arms. You can point the fingers towards the ceiling. Finish your next breath, and when you're ready, exhale to lower down. And then bring the knees into the chest for rock and roll. So that first variation involves more strength with the arms down, with the hips lifted, maybe with the fingers pointing upwards. I prefer that because I feel like I can press more into my upper arms and use them to lift. Remember, bridge is a back bend. So the next variation is the most popular one that we do. And that's with the yoga mudra bind, the fingers woven behind the back and the shoulders tucked under. So let's build that one. Feet back in position. Start with your hands down by your side, tuck your shoulders under a little bit. Chest is just a touch lifted. And then press into the feet, and on your inhale, lift your hips. You can work intuitively with the breath, just trying to differentiate. Keep the knees really stable, making the adjustments on the legs that you need to. If you're going for that slightly bigger bend, then weave the fingers together behind the back, press the little fingers into the ground, tuck the shoulders under and lift the hips as high as they'll go. We've not done any back bending, so they might not go as high as usual. We'll breathe. And finish your 3rd breath, and then untangle yourself and gently really chill, relax the body back down. Knees to the chest for a rock and roll. Final variation. Remember, you can do either of the two we've already done, or miss it out, or do dynamic bridge. Final variation is to rest your hands underneath your waist or your hips with the elbows on the floor. So your body weight will then rest into your hands. If you have arthritic hands, wrists, or tendonitis, then it's a no. This is a no if that's you, but what you can do is pile a couple of blocks underneath your sacrum, back of the hips, right at the back of the hips, not the arch, the back of the hips, and have supported bridge, which is absolutely gorgeous. And you could do that with a bolster if you've got a bolster as well. So let's have a look at this one. Feet in position, knees lined up. Remember, don't let those knees flop around. When you're ready, roll up on probably on your in-breath. Lift up as high as you can go. Then I like to do the basket weave version first so that my shoulders are nicely tucked under and my hips are lifted as high as they're going to go. Chin drawing towards the chest, but not totally tucked in. Gazing at the ceiling. Then I untangle my arms. Elbows stay down. Hands come under the waist. And those hips lift a little higher. So this is hard work if you have any strain in your wrists. So don't do it. And there's no strength in this except in your arms. And it feels pretty amazing if you like it. So you can just hold until you're ready. I'm going to finish this breath and then very carefully untangle my arms. Roll, 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 all the way down. And I'm going to take, I hate the name of this posture. I'm going to call it dead fly, because that's what we renamed it in yoga teacher training, but I hate the name of this posture, so I'm not going to say it. Legs in the air, arms in the air, have a really soft knees and elbows, so it's like you're suspended, and start to roll some little ankle and wrist circles again. So we did warm up the wrists and the ankles for this, but you really do feel it after you've done all those bridges. Have a little wiggle and roll, and shake out the arms and the legs as well. Nice, really, really nice. Lovely. Oh, yeah, that feels nice. Let's bring the knees back into the chest, and you can either roll onto your side and come to all fours, or you can cross your ankles and roll forwards all the way over the feet and onto all fours. Just arrange yourself into tabletop pose. Ready for some cat-cow. So back bending is going to feature a fair bit, and you can dial it up, down, round and round, however much you want. Make sure your focus stays with those back bends. We'll do a little ab work as well, just so that the abdomen is ready. The strong abs support a strong back. Well, it's mutual. Okay, hands under shoulder, knees under hips. Remember, you can soften in. If your arms and hands are tied, you can soften in as much as you need to with the elbows. Inhale, lift the heart, lift the tailbone. You know, cat-cow. You can just crack on with it while I'm chatting. Exhale, round the spine. So I'll always reiterate the instructions, because I have so many people who might want the video, or sometimes in classes, for whom that information doesn't stay. You have to kind of reiterate. So keep rolling through, enjoy. You should feel fairly nice. It's just really woken up the spine quite a lot. Really good. And let's, if you like to exaggerate this movement, how much you can go anywhere from here to where I'm taking it. There's all the middle grounds. So as you inhale, lift your heart, lift your tailbone. Now when you exhale, roll all the way back to the heels. As you inhale, lower the elbows, sweep forward and through the arms, and then lengthen the arms. And then exhale to round back. So it's this nice wave movement. There are names for this, but I've heard so many of them. I'm not that fussed for any of them. I think just roll through. I think of it as waving through cat-cow, because it always makes me think of that Hokusai painting The Great Wave, which is a beautiful painting, but you do just end up seeing, it just makes me think of student bedrooms. But hey, still beautiful. Right, a couple more of this, and then we'll have some side to side cat cow, because I can actually feel my muscles easing as I do this. And so we'll come back to center when you finish your next round, and let's do side to side. So right shoulder and right hip squeeze together. I'm going to let my hips swing to the side a little bit. Inhale to center, exhale, squeeze the other way. So it's a side to side movement. And I try to let my body be really fluid for this, because I want my waist to get a really good stretch, the whole of my sides from base of the hip all the way across. And of course, if your wrists are getting tired, just take a breather. Nice. Lovely. So let's give the wrists a little bit of a rest anyway, because I want to do some other stuff on hands and knees. Let's go for thread the needle, but we'll hold. So as you inhale, take your right arm up towards the ceiling. Exhale to sweep it underneath the left. Turn the head to the left. And then either relax your left arm or wrap it around your waist and rotate your chest more to the left. I'm not going to do that because morning time, it's not warm enough. You know, at the end of the day, it can be easier to do your big binds, but actually when it's first thing in the morning and you haven't done much other than, you know, breakfast and coffee and stuff like that, you just need to get yourself a breather. So rest into this, and if you'd rather have your bum sitting right the way back in child's pose, or even all the way forward lying on your front, you can still do this. What I will say is that thread the needle lying on your front is less of a shoulder stretch. So keep breathing, take the opportunity, think of your hands and wrists just resting out a little bit. Yeah, my left arm is still hurting from my booster, which I had on Friday. It feels like a long time ago for it to still be hurting. When you're ready, switch sides. Come back to center. Remember to open up that twist. So it feels nice and lengthy. Switch sides. So right hand comes down, the left arm opens up to the ceiling. Exhale to sweep the left arm underneath and soften in. Head to the floor, turning to right. And bum can be in the air if you like being upside down, or you can sit your bum right back. If you want that more sort of cocooned feeling, slightly less of a shoulder stretch. Get the option for the binders there, might feel better on this side. Breathe, rest. And I would say, although I do like the shoulder stretch here, it takes a lot more than this to stretch out my shoulders. I would say for me, this posture is about resting slightly upside down. So the therapeutic effect of it is being upside down, but gently. Lovely. So let's tuck the toes, untangle, open up into your open twist again. And this time, bring the hand back down underneath the shoulders. I want to do our bear hugs, but we're not going to hold. We're just going to pulse. We're going to pulse for 3. So toes are tucked, hands are under the shoulders. You can leave this out if you don't want any strength work at all today. Pull your belly in, gaze down between the hands, neutral spine. And as you exhale, lift. Actually, let's do 5. Lift the knees, about 1 inch or 2. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift. 4. Inhale, lower. At your own pace, I will count us down. 3, 2. Try to keep your arms still. 1. Hold for another breath. And then release. Flatten out the feet. Rest if you need to, or take your right arm forward and left foot back. Hand and foot can be on the floor, it's totally fine. Either hold here or, well, in fact, hold for another breath while we're here. And then if you can, bring your right hand back down to the floor, take your left foot over to the right, so it's crossing behind you, and turn and look at your toes over your right shoulder. So left foot stretching back to the right, and you're looking back at your right toes. And this is for that stretch in the hip. You might not be feeling anything, but so it's a little bit of a different way of doing this. Press the left heel away. Lovely. Come back to center. Sit back on the heels, stretch forward. A little extended child's pose. And let's do that again. This time you can pulse through your knee lifts, or you can hold. But I'm just going to do 3 because I don't want it to get into like hardcore strengthening mode. I mostly want you to be able to get the tiger balance and that nice sideways stretch, just to see how you get on with it. So press into the hands, come up square again, tiger balance, right leg, oh no, pulses, sorry. Hands underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes, and either pulse through for 3 or hold for 3. So knees lift, gazing down, pulling the belly in. 3, 2, 1, and release. Right leg back, left arm forward. Try and keep those hips steady with the mat, so square, pointing towards the mat. Hold here for another 2 and 1, and then bring your hand back down under your shoulder and take your right toes over to the left. Press those toes into the ground, heel presses away, and turn and look over your left shoulder at your toes behind you. This is a side stretch, so this is a fancy version of side to side cat cow. And I really like this, really like it. It gets to that back of the hip, lower waist area for me, which is always very tight. Okay, when you're ready, let's come back to center. Let's tuck the toes, sit back on the heels, walk your hands back into your little low squat. Heels can be lifted. And we're going to do some up down stuff. So start to lift up into ragdoll, knees stay bent, soften down into your ragdoll. On an inhale, hands come to shins, halfway lift. Exhale, release from the hips, soften down into a standing forward fold. Keep those knees bent or the hands off the floor if you're not warm enough in the backs of the legs. I'm not yet for my normal forward fold. Soften the knees, inhale, sweep the arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, sit into chair pose, sit your bum back, reach your arms forward. Gaze forward or down, whatever's better for your neck. As you exhale, sweep the arms back behind you, maybe lift the heels for a hummingbird. On your next inhale, bring the hands to the heart, lower the heels to the ground, still in chair. And then exhale, release down into your soft forward fold. Walk your hands forward and lower the knees. Draw the shoulders back, lift the knees for 1 breath. Release the knees to the ground. Walk the hands back, tuck the toes, sit into your high crouch. Come into your soft forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, standing forward fold. Inhale, reach up for tall mountain. Exhale, chair pose. Inhale here. Exhale, sweep the hands back, hummingbird, lift the heels if you can. Inhale, bring the hands to the heart, lower the heels, this time twist. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale, release, forward fold. Walk your hands forward, if you can, to downward facing dog, or all fours if you prefer. So just make your way to downward facing dog. Reach the heels back. Have a pedal if you want to. And bend the knees and walk your hands back if you can. Otherwise, you can walk your hands and your feet towards each other. Come into your little crouch, your squat. Half soft forward fold with the knees bent. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen the legs, lengthen the spine. Exhale, standing forward fold. This time, inhale, chair, sit your bum back, reach the arms forward. And let's twist, exhale, let's bring left hand to the outside of left calf, right arm up towards the ceiling. I think it's a bit easier than hands to heart. Don't worry if you go the wrong way, you can go back the other way anyway. So when you're ready, come back to center, sweep the arms forward, and then twist the other way. So right hand to left calf, left arm up towards the ceiling. Inhale to center, hands to heart. Exhale, release from the hips, standing forward fold. Walk the hands forward, downward facing dog, or all fours. Shift the heels back, pull back with the heels, pointiness, remember, hips going up and back. Deep breath in, and as you exhale, shift forward into plank or half plank, plank with the knees down, and then lower to the ground. Belly down, hands under shoulders. Press into the hands, draw the shoulders back, inhale to lift your heart, gaze forward. Exhale down. Tuck the toes, keep the knees down, press up. Use your strong arms to press your upper body up. Walk back into your little crouch. Inhale, soft forward fold. Have a breath here. Next inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release from the hips. Inhale, tall mountain, all the way up to standing. This time, see if you can lift your heels in tall mountain. Sit into your chair with the heels lifted. Sweep the arms all the way back. All the way back behind you. Gaze down at the floor. Inhale, reach the arms up. All the way back up, lifted. You can lower the heels if it's a bit much. And then exhale, lower the heels to the ground. Bring your hands to your heart. I'm going to turn so you can see. Sit into your chair pose. And if it's possible, so if this starts to feel mad, this is just for fun, so don't worry about it. So sitting into your chair pose, we're going to take this into figure of four or standing pigeon. So see if you can take your right ankle over your left thigh, standing pigeon. Just hold there for a moment. Yeah. Release the leg. Whoop, I fell out of that. Inhale to stretch up. Lift the heels if you can. Exhale, sit into chair, go all the way through into hummingbird, gazing at the floor. Inhale to reach up. So this is balancing sequence all the way through since we stood up, but it's balancing on two legs. Lower the heels. Sit into chair, bring your hand to your heart. If you can, cross your left ankle over your right thigh. So this is just like when we were lying down, only we're standing on a foot now. So this is your standing pigeon, balancing pigeon, whatever you want to call it. Release your left foot back to the ground, stay in chair, and exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, standing forward fold. Walk your hands forward to either all fours or downward facing dog. Pedal out. Obviously, if you would rather not be weight bearing, you can switch all of this out for whatever is right for you. Remember, we're coming to our bellies, so you know you can
Make this work how you need to. Press the heels away, pull the belly in, round your spine, bring your shoulders over your wrists and either lower the knees first or just lower the whole body down to the ground, hands under shoulders. Draw the shoulders back. Inhale, lift your heart into a little back bend, cobra. Exhale down. Walk the hands, one handprint wider, turn the fingers out. Inhale, lift your heart, medium-sized cobra. Deep breath in and exhale to lower down. Take the arms out a little bit wider, maybe 1.5 extra handprints worth. You can bring them forward as well if you want. Press into the hands, spread them wide. Inhale, open up. Take the legs a little wider as well. Seal. Big breath in, big breath out, lower down. Wiggle the legs back in line with the thighs, hands under the shoulders, keep the knees down. In fact, you can tuck the toes. Keep the knees down, pull the belly in, use your strong arms to press up your whole upper body. Exhale, sit back on the heels, stretch the arms forward. You can flatten out the toes or keep them tucked, whatever you prefer. Just have a breather here in child's pose. And just stay with the breath for another couple. Okay. And let's walk the hands all the way back in. Keep the toes tucked and come to a high kneeling position. You can put padding under your knees if you need to. We're going to do camel pose, more back bending. If it's not your cup of tea, then there's no real way to avoid. The camel pose is intense. So if you want to rest out, you can do something else so you can rest out. So let's go for mini camel first. Hands just sitting behind the hips, however you prefer. I like my thumbs back there. Inhale to lift your heart. This is a gazing point. Think about your balance. It really helps with this. So gently draw the belly in, gaze forward, push the hips forward, draw the shoulders back, and then lift your gaze a little bit towards the ceiling. Try not to tip back a lot, but just stretch out the front of the body. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And then inhale, come up and sit back. We're not going to stay. We're just counterposing. When you're ready, inhale to float up. Release the right hand. Inhale, take it up. Draw it back and over to rest on the heel if you can. You can use blocks if you prefer. Left arm goes up towards the ceiling. Press the hips forward, half camel. Still the hips forward, no collapsing. Your butt should be clenched right now. And then again, windmill the arms up if you can. Let's counterpose. So just a little bend forward, just for a breath. And inhale to come back up. Right hand comes to hip. Take the left arm up, windmill it all the way over so that your left hand rests on your left heel. Take the right arm up. Press forward with the hips, chest open. This is hard work. Doesn't feel easy. Camel is never easy. Windmill over, stretch forward. Next option is for full camel. And when you're in there, if you are feeling rubbery in your spine and really soft, you can then adjust your feet if you want to make it deeper. Remember, you can have blocks behind you for all of this. You don't have to use your heels, or you can even use a chair. And you can stick with a variation that suits you. When you're ready, walk the hands back in. The reason we keep the toes up is because it keeps those heels elevated so you don't go too far. Right arm draws up and over onto right heel. hips forward, chest forward, take the left arm up and over as well if it's possible. You can have your hands on your hips instead. Once you're there, gaze forward, press your hips forward, press your chest forward, squeeze the shoulder blades, maybe let the gaze lift towards the ceiling. If you're comfortable now, you can think about maybe flattening out the feet, if that's an option. That's quite strong for me, so I doubt it. When you're ready, come back up, windmill the arms over, don't come into full child's pose, come to melting heart. So hips over knees, chest sinking down. If you don't want to be on your knees still, then come and lie on your front with your head resting on your hands, toes pointing in, heels pointing out. I do not want you to curl your spine one way and then immediately curl it the other way. We just want a softer back bend, that's all. Have a little breathe. Lovely stuff. So when you're ready, we're going to come back onto our fronts. So what I would like to do, just roll your way onto your front. You can stick a cushion under your belly if you want to support your Sphinx pose, and you can use a strap for the quad stretch. So what we're going to do here is Sphinx. We're going to stay in Sphinx. Obviously, you can bring your forehead down if you'd rather rest. We're going to do our quad stretches, how you prefer to do them. And we're going to stay here in this back bend because I would like to finish with the same bridge sequence we started with, just to see if it feels different at the end of the class than at the beginning. So it's a back bending class. Right, elbows, if you're staying up in Sphinx, elbows under shoulders. Otherwise, you can rest your head. If you want to support this, stick your cushion, your bolster or your block underneath your belly below the ribcage to support yourself. Gaze forward first, draw the chest back and down, relax your lower back, let that belly soften onto the ground. Have a nice breath. And then turn your left fingers towards your right elbow. Scoop up your right foot with your right arm, with your right foot, with your right hand, sorry. So really having trouble with body parts today. Roll your right shoulder back, maybe rotate the chest a little bit over and just see if you can get that stretch. So first priority is the stretch along the front of the thigh and the hip. Mine, I'm not really feeling much, so I think mine don't really need that much stretching today, but get that first. Just one more breath. Obviously, if you like to have your hip flexors stretch, have longer. When you're ready, we're just going to switch sides, that's all. So release. If you're feeling a very strong sensation along the front of that thigh, you should stay there longer. Switch arms, switch legs. Draw the leg in. Oh yeah, that's better. So it does help in your bridge pose if your thighs are nicely stretched out and soft, because you think about the shape that you're making from knees to shoulder, you want that sense of softness. You can roll your left shoulder back, turn the chest a little bit. Lovely. And if you are able to, and please take this as an opportunity to rest if you can't, bring your head down, keep your left leg in, and also bring your right leg in. Keep the knees lined up with the hips, so try not to let everything go squiffy. And from here, either stay here and get that quad stretch a little bit longer. If you've got the back bend in you, draw your shoulders back, squeeze them together, and then maybe push the tops of the feet into the hands. And some people can lift the legs as well. So just see if that's there. I mean, this is bow pose and it's a lot like bridge, but on your front. Release when you're ready. Head comes down. Bring the hands under the head. That's a strong one. So I hope you took your alternatives. Bring the big toes to touch and the heels to flop out to the sides. All take the legs out really wide. And just rest here for 3 breaths. If that's enough for you, then you just want to stop, because these back bends, very energizing, they can be very zapping.
Have a stretch out. We're going to finish with that bridge sequence. Breathe into the belly. Feel the softness in your lower back. And then when you're ready, you can either roll onto your back, bend your knees, have a rock and roll, or you can tuck your toes, press into your hands, press up halfway, cross the ankles, walk your hands back and roll over the feet, and then shuffle forward. So that's your little maneuver for getting back into bridge position. So rolling back onto your, rest pose, constructive rest pose, they call it. Walk the feet in, give them a gentle hug. So don't hug in too tight. Just keep the knees a little bit separated from the chest. Have a massage if you need it. We've done a lot of back bending. I love a back bend, and I have already got quite a bendy back. But this early in the morning, it is a lot, and you will benefit from it as the day goes on, but you need to make sure that you're properly stretched. So this little rock and roll is quite important. What we do next depends entirely on you. So I'm going to work through the back bends. If you just need to rest, take that rest. You will benefit from it. If you like dynamic bridge, you stay with dynamic bridge. If you suddenly feel very free in your back, you can have the back bends. So hands down by the sides, palms downwards, shoulders drawing in, knees lined up with hip joints, feet lined up with knees, keep the knees stable. On your inhale, roll the spine up, make it feel good. Lift the hips. Now, when you do this, you might notice that the best counter pose for a back bend is a different back bend. Lift the hips, and on your exhale, roll down. Let the back of your body be really soft. And do more of these. Just keep working with your breath. No stopping, sinewy, fluid movements. I'm just going to have my elbows down and my fingers pointing up because I really don't enjoy the feeling of my hands flat on the floor, but you can keep your hands flat on the floor. So just roll through, enjoy the massage, enjoy the feeling of the ground massaging out your back. I'm not going to suggest you do all of the back bends. You have the options. You can do your standard bridge where you lift your hips and hold for between 3 and 5 breaths or less. You can have the one where you bind your fingers behind your back, tuck your shoulders under and lift the hips high. That's your halfway mark. That's what most people like, and hold for between 3 to 5 breaths. You do, or hold all of these for between 3 to 5 breaths. You can rest your hands under your hips or your waist and keep the elbows down and have that variation. For those who like wheel, you can do wheel, which is crab. I would normally do wheel, but it's too early in the morning. Maybe I'll do it later, or maybe I will do wheel. No, I'm going to do my third variation. I'm going to keep it moderate and practice what I preach. So I love wheel. I do it most days, but not at 10 in the morning without having done a good, strong, hot practice first. So you choose your variation. Either keep moving. You can have your knees to chest for a rock and roll now if you have had enough, but otherwise lift your hips up high and arrange yourself into your version of bridge. I'm going for this one because this is my second favorite after Chakrasana. Wheel, upward facing bow. For some reason, wheel has lots and lots of names. Keep breathing. This feels, for me, so much better than when we first did it in the morning. But I don't need to be here for ages, so I'm just going to untangle myself and really slowly, with arms out wide, roll all the way down as I exhale. And then when my last little bit of my back softens into the ground, knees come into the chest, have a rock and roll. In fact, you can go for a wider knee position if you want to, or happy baby if your hips are feeling warm enough. We haven't really done much with hips, so see how you feel. Have a good old rock, make it feel good. And then for the purposes of the video and for you, Maggie, it's twists of your choice. I'm going for wipers because for me, wipers is the best to just neutralize everything afterwards. So if you don't like wipers, I know there's a few people who are not that keen, any version of a twist, any kind of release for your back. And if it's Ali watching, feel free to have pigeon pose if that's what you like. It will be a good release for this. So knees wide, toes pointing outwards if you're coming with me. Exhale to lower the knees over to the right. Inhale to center. Please work with the breath today. And exhale, knees to the left. I know I often say you can release the breath, but we really need to get that good stretch. Allow the lower back, the hips to roll. Close the eyes. Notice that rhythmic movement and how it travels from opposite knee to opposite shoulder. So when you lower your knees to the right, it's from the right hip to the left shoulder, all the way across the front of the body, very subtle. And then when you go to the left, it's left hip to right shoulder, all the way across, like a little snake. And turn your head the opposite way to your knees if you wish. Let go, let the thighs go, relax the belly, relax the back, relax the rib cage, arms, hands, face. One more round on each side. We're finishing here. We're going to come up to seated and just seal the practice. If you want a proper relaxation Shavasana, then please feel free to rest. I will happily close the meeting around us, don't worry. I recommend after this one, it is worth having a 5-minute stillness rest. I know for you, Maggie, rest is probably not going to happen until the builders leave, so I don't think that rest is high on the list of what you're likely to get. So one last time, knees to chest, a little hug and a roll, and this time you can hug in as tightly as you want. You can take, if you can reach, opposite hand to opposite elbow, squeeze yourself tightly, enjoy. Really curl the spine, the tailbone drawing up, or you can try and press it down to the ground if you're in that place. On an exhale, bring your forehead up towards your knees, make a tiny little ball. So this is not abdominal, this is just a little squeeze. And then inhale to bring the head down and draw yourself up into your seated position. Cross the legs, or any comfortable seat is fine, actually. Let's bring the hands to the heart, eyes can close, tall through the spine, just one round of breath synchronized movement. So we'll take a deep breath in. Exhale, softly float the arms out wide. Inhale, circle the arms up. And exhale, hands to heart, bow the head for a moment. And when you're ready, lift the gaze. Thank you. Let me pause the recording and I'll say au revoir.